What a beautiful, beautiful day today. Wow. What a gorgeous day. So, for those of you who are big Harold and Maude fans, you'll know where I'm at. For those of you who are not, check out the movie. What are we doing today? We're going to be doing Midi remapping today. And what Midi remapping is, it's taking a sketch and reorchestrating it. Really what we're doing is reorchestration or orchestration. And the reason I'm doing this is that within the course of any film project, oftentimes you will have a piece of music you've written for a scene that's not used. Or if it's reused, you're going to want to vary it somehow. You're going to want to change it in terms of its character. And if the director likes one particular piece of music and they want to use it multiple times, let's say it's some kind of motif for a character, you might want to do some subtle changes to that piece just to keep the audience more interested and to not trigger sort of subconscious, oh, the movie has suddenly become boring. So it's just a really great way to kind of track changes, but to also make things so that they vary over time. It also is a great way to create a contrasting piece of a film. Oh my God. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can all see this. This is called coastal erosion, which means you have to always be very, very careful when you're walking. You can see that pipe used to be covered by rocks, and all of those rocks came apart down there. This is why you should never have oceanfront property anywhere. It's a cautionary tale about oceanfront property. So again, you know, when you're working in film scoring, it's a really great technique to create new MIDI orchestrations by taking a piece of music, should be well written, that's important, and then adding to it. So that's what I'll be doing in the studio a little later today. It is too beautiful today for me to be in the studio all day. So I'll probably be in the studio all night, because that's what we do. So again, if you're feeling the ennui of work set in, if you're wondering what to do next, get out of the studio and take a beautiful walk to a beautiful place. So, MIDI orchestration. That's it.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome to the channel. Happy Sunday. It's tea time, and that means we're going to listen to some music. This is a cue I wrote a while ago that was never used in the film I was writing it for. So I liked it, but the client didn't like it. This is normal. It's normal. I mean, the client does like a lot of what I write, but sometimes something just doesn't hit the mark, and it's never a question about the quality of the composition. It's more about its appropriateness. So that's something to know. Often if you have a piece of score that's rejected, it's not because it's a bad piece of music necessarily. It's because it's just not right. It's not the right feel that they're looking for the film. So get all, bent out of shape over that, because the big part of this business is it's like this. It's kind of like, imagine yourself as like a really bad dog, and the owner is constantly saying no, 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 no. That's what being a film composer is like. It's like being a bad pet, and then having to sort of learn how to behave within the context of whatever the project is. So enough about that. Enough about behavior modification. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to focus on a remap today. And remaps are fun reorchestrations. So we're going to listen to the piece through. And it's a hybrid piece. It's got some electronics in it, but it's a quirky little thing that I wrote. So here we go. And that's it. It kind of repeats. Again, it was a sketch I dropped in as a piece of I was working on a bunch of cues, and this was just one I sent. And this one didn't make the final cut. That's okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing in on the bones of the piece. And so the bones of the piece are the kind of the piano reduction I wrote. I think that's here. And then I wrote this. I kind of doubled that. So let's just kind of figure this out first. So let's figure the arrangement out. So we have the strings here. Okay, so we're going to focus on creating a track stack with these sets. Again, you know, it's always good to be organized, and track stacking is a great way to ultimately prepare for stem mixes if those are things you're going to be doing for a film. So we're going to put this in here, and we're going to call this summing stack. Oh, everything's working a little slow today. That's okay. It's a lazy summer day. All right, so we're going to call this strings, and I'll just call it chamber strings. If you're interested in the sample library, it is Abbey Road strings, and here we go. And then we have the piano part up here. And that's already stacked out, so we'll just call that piano. Now, there are some other bigger parts of this through here, and we also have these here. Let's see what's going on. This is hooked up to anything. These aren't, but we're going to actually keep these tracks. We're going to clean up the session. Why don't we do that? So we're going to actually take these and delete these tracks. Always, before you do this, you should always create an alternative, save it as an alternative session. So if you screw things up, you can go back to the original session and it's not a big deal. So always save as something new or do a track alternative, which I have done in this case. So I thought about doing this initially as a kind of a canned thing where I did the whole reorchestration and then, you know, part one, part two, but I thought it'd be more fun to just do it on the fly. So here we have this. So let's figure out what this is. This is a keyscape track, actually. That's the 1, 2, 3. So that's the keyscape track. And this is actually a really great point to sort of jump off from as a remap. And let's see what we have here. So again, not the most organized session in the world, so we'll just delete things that we're not using. Again, if you're collaborating with other composers, be more organized than this, but if it's just your own thing, you should label things because it just makes life easier. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to close this stack up. And one of the things I like to do when I start the remap process is I'll open it up usually in Ensemble, but just save time and, you know, for the video, I'm going to just do the first kind of impulsive thing that I like to do, which is I like to do, on this, I'll do a Vienna Instrument Pro track, and I'll start big. So going wide in this case means I'll take VSL and I'll take a synchron player here. Just load that in. And this is going to become like an all-string sort of track. And we're going to go into patches and we're going to find an all-string patch. So we're going to find synchron strings all. And there should be a string short that we're going to use. So we're going to bring that in. And I think this is all of the string shorts that are in there. So let's play that for a minute. Oh, sorry about that. It's a little loud. Sorry, everybody. Turn it down. Yeah, that works. So that's going to be the first thing that we use. Let's turn that down. It's a little loud. So we have... And immediately, we're going to take this idea that we have here. We're going to label it all strings short. You can call it staccato, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to begin by taking this section here. And there's a couple of ways we can do this in Logic. We can go Option, drag, right there. Oops, one more time. You have to kind of grab mid through the region on the Option drags. And then what it's going to do is it's going to copy that exact thing. So let's hear how it sounds. So that qualifies, that works. Now, the next thing we're going to do with this string flautando that we have here, the Vienna flautando, is we're going to actually duplicate this track, and let's put in a tremolo. We already have a tremolo down here, but let's do, maybe not a tremolo, let's go into Vienna Instrument Pro. And this time, we're going to add some brass. So again, let's go down here. Vienna Instruments Pro. And this is where things get to be fun. So under the brass patches, we're going to add maybe we'll use, maybe to keep it in the vein of being delicate, we'll keep it as we'll keep it woodwinds, and we'll just use kind of generic woodwind sustains. So woodwind sustains are like that. And I'm just going to use within the Vienna world just the algorithmic reverb that kind of comes with this. So which isn't actually that bad. More of that, please. Come on. None of the rhythmic. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit too much, so let's turn that down. And let's fix the balance. So we're going to try moving the flautando up here one more time. There we go. And of course, that's too loud, so we have to fix that. And what we're going to do is go into the world of the hyper editor. And in the hyper editor, we're going to take a look at, we got aftertouch in here for some reason, but we also should have expression. So let's find expression. Let's take expression and let's draw a little bit of it in. Crescendo, decrescendo, just to give it a little bit more character. Let's hear it. Okay, so we already have progress. So we've got a little bit of that. And then let's take in the Abbey Road world that we have. So we have this new kind of woodwind swell. We'll just call it woodwind swell. And I always recommend doing this kind of like an onion, you know, start big and then kind of work your way down in the ensemble so that it becomes a little bit smaller. So you can kind of hear how the whole thing sounds. So in other words, in the spirit of... And that might be too much. We might want to actually hear a little bit more. Now, we also have some more stuff down here. So let's hear what this is. And there's already a few ensemble ideas in here. So again, in the spirit of all that is remapping, let's take a listen to this pizzicato. Now, what the all strings short do is a trick that I like to do, which is taking, for example, in the edit function here, going to empty lock and going to lock's empty position. So lock's empty position is a really useful tool, especially if you're up late and you're making lots of stupid errors because you're just tired and you need to go to sleep, but you're working on a deadline. So what you can do is you can actually play around, for example, with the voices. And we can take these, for example, and transpose them up. And that wasn't such a great transposition, but that's okay, or a great octave change. We can take this, for example, the C tonic, and we can move it up to the top. Let's listen to this. And again, that doesn't work too well, but it's just interesting to try different things based on this. All right, we're not done yet. So we're going to take some other ideas here. So let's look at some other ideas that we have in this. And we've got let's see, we have also the melody line up here. And so the melody line, what we're going to take the melody line, we're going to take the melody line. The melody line's pretty ornamental. I'm going to do something brave here. I'm going to take this piano part and I'm going to see if I have a harpsichord laying around. Why not? Let's take a risk. Let's change centuries. Okay, so we're going to do that next. And I'm not sure where I have, maybe not a harpsichord, but maybe something more exotic like a cymbalom. Let's try that. Spitfire Audio. Let's bring the cymbalom in. And this is going to give it a real Eastern kind of vibe to it. And let's make sure we have the cymbalom. So cymbalom sounds like this. If we take our solos off. Again, it may not work. It may work. Who knows? But you should try different things. And so track, other, new with same instrument. All right, so we're going to take this idea up here that we have. So we're going to take this idea and we're going to move these down. We're going to move these down. Track 2. Then we're going to take the same idea and we are going to option drag. And I have no idea how this is going to sound. I kind of have an idea, but let's see what we got. Here we go. Do this. Let's transpose these up. So I think that might work better. So we're going to go into all of these notes. And again, to do the transposition, we want to take this and we want to just lock it this empty position, which is just a great way of kind of managing that outcome. So let's, again, take these notes. Let's take velocity, dampening, just a little bit, and then let's move it up. So let's move this up a little bit. Here we go. I like that. I don't like the lower voice though, so we're going to actually move that back to the piano track. And again, it's a little like playing musical Tetris, but it can be a lot of fun, and you can come up with some really interesting combinations. And so we're going to take this here, and we'll mute that. We'll turn this down a little bit. And then we'll unmute this and actually use them both together, both the piano and the cymbalom. And then, of course, when you're doing this, you have to clean up things a lot. So, you know, going into this, for example, where we had this woodwind thing, and maybe, you know, going in there and changing the velocity, for example, of this, because it's just too much, bringing it down. Let's see if we are able to do that. So let's play it again. And again, you know, it's a lot of going back and forth, but you can come up with some really interesting ideas. kinds of interesting things you can do. And this is just a kind of an abridged version of what, for me, a total remap would be. But this is sort of a starting point for all of you who are trying to figure out ways to come up with better arrangements. I think what makes this work is if the music's good. That's what makes this work. In other words, if you have a problematic composition and you remap it, you're just going to have a bigger problem. And again, a lot of remapping stuff on YouTube that I've watched before I made this video is all about remapping drum parts, and that's fun. I do that a lot too when I'm programming electronic music. But when I'm writing classical music, I mean, this is a way I can really get my head around, tonality and sound. And then just for fun, once the remap's in, what I'll do is I'll trigger all of the assorted voices. When you do this, your brain starts expanding around, sonic possibilities, especially as they relate to creating more interesting stuff. So hopefully this helps everybody, and like and subscribe.